Hello and good morning from paradise. Just wanted to do a little check-in. Today is day 28 where I officially finish my fast. Yay! Well done to me as well. I'm blown away by this journey. It's been something incredible. So I'm officially allowed to move back onto foods now. And it brought up something that I wanted to share. What I was feeling is that for me, there is no kind of fasting and eating as two separate things. I am feeling that there's just the scale. There's the things that we put in and take out of our body that speed up detox, rejuvenation, regeneration, and healing. There's the things we can eat that slow it down, and then the things that completely stop. And then I guess we can get even worse to the things that really damage our body. So on the lightest end of the scale is obviously fasting, particularly the fast I've been doing, which is with the cooked dark grape juice. It's the master fast system. And it sounds kind of crazy to have a cooked juice instead of raw, but the point of the cooked juice is that it doesn't actually provide nutrition to the body. It's absorbed completely by the stomach walls, and so the digestive system gets a complete vacation, as it's called. And that's when the deepest healing happens, is when the digestive system can just rest, and then it can kick into the next gear of healing. And then, so from moving on to fruits, they will slow down the healing a little, but still amazing. And then veggies, and then moving on to the grains, are really starting to slow down the healing. And then as we move on to meat, fat, processed food, dairy products, we're completely stopping any healing, regeneration, rejuvenation in our body. And we are even moving on to the other end of the scale, which is harming our body, clogging it up, aging us. So it is said that one should finish a fast with something like watermelon or a juice. But for the last few days, I've had this enormous craving for home cooked pumpkin with the skin on, very specific, with coriander from the garden, no salt, nothing else. So what I've been learning on this journey so far in the since last November, has been that I've been beginning to make peace with food, which has been huge, from probably having an eating disorder since I've been around 10. This is really huge. So I didn't have any watermelon. I'm in the middle of nowhere and there's lots of pumpkin, so I had some cooked pumpkin and cooked veggies, and I just had a little bit. I could only have a few mouthfuls after fasting for so long, and I just let that kind of navigate its way in my system, and without any judgment I could just feel the density of it, the density of its vibration. I'm absolutely not saying that it wasn't nourishing, but certainly the vibration of it was much more dense than where I'm at in myself, particularly in these last 4 weeks. And that was so beautiful just to experience that. And what was coming to me is that I'm slowly now beginning to be able to drop all teachings and information about what are the right foods, what are the best foods and the best things to do for the body, because I'm actually beginning to be able to feel my body again. And I thought I could feel my body my whole life, but when I started this healing journey, I really realized that I could not really feel my body. So I'm beginning to be able to make my own judgment about what certain foods are doing for my body, and I feel a great freedom in this, because I do have the choice. Well, we all have the choice to eat whatever we want, but there's always the outcome of what we're eating. And yeah, I can eat these heavier, more dense vibration foods. I can eat them in small amounts if I'm craving them, and just process that and just love it all. If I eat too much, I'll certainly feel quite heavy in my body and not so bright and sparkly, and probably a little bit negative about myself for a few days, but also that's totally fine now because that's where I have lived within myself for like my whole life almost. You know, this is how I have been, a constant kind of hiding that I'm feeling negative about myself or not feeling great. And I did not know at all that it could have a great relation to the heavier density and vibration foods I'm putting in my body. And still, as I'm saying this, it sounds like so new agey to me, but it is a truth, and it's almost a truth that's made fun of. Like, oh, you and your healthy eating, you're missing out, and oh, but it's so delicious. And yeah, I know, I get all of that, and I'm absolutely not here to push anyone or to judge anyone, but I do feel that as we begin to grow collectively in our consciousness, more and more we are realizing how crazy and actually dangerous this, particularly the pharmaceutical industry, but also the medical system is. So many of us have been, seeing doctors for years and years, or on medications, or even a lot of these natural therapies. They don't understand that detoxing is the way to actually heal, rejuvenate, and regenerate. So I'm grateful for my extreme illness and feeling I was dying last year to have brought me to this place. So I'm going to keep living this as my path, regardless of what comes by. A friend yesterday mentioned to me something very interesting. She said, yeah, I hear what you're saying and it makes a lot of sense, but some people, they need to eat heavier foods to stay grounded. And you know what, I do believe she's right to a point. I have definitely experienced that, feeling too light and just needing to ground myself with the weight of foods. And I feel that, yeah, of course, if we're living like ideally in paradise, in a tropical fruit beach, perfect location, it's going to be way much easier just to live a life of eating fruits and really light and eating the prana. And obviously that's way, way different than if we're living in the cities or towns and the stresses and pressures. And I'm very lucky. Well, I have manifested for myself that long term, at this point in time, I can only live in paradises. I can dip in and out of cities and towns, but it doesn't really serve me. And so I just really felt into what she was saying, and obviously that's been my experience of most of my life as well, of kind of feeling the need of heavier foods to ground. And what really came up for me is that, well, we come into this earth very light beings, and we're surrounded by heavier vibrations and densities. Our family, all of our generations have most likely lived a heavier vibration and all around us, and then we're put into a schooling system when we're little sprockets of love and light, and this is very heavy on our poor little systems. And then we just get burdened by studying and finding jobs, and that's all heavy, heavy, heavy. So of course we're matching that with heavier foods, and that's totally okay. I believe it's all part of our evolution, is when we get the spark to say, wait, I think there's something more in life. So when I really felt into that, particularly in what I've been experiencing in my journey in the last, must be about 8 months now, is that I feel this feeling, this need to kind of ground is not so much a needing to ground, but what we're actually doing is we are grounding down, we are pushing down emotions at that point. Yeah, that's what really feels true to me. And that it is totally okay that often there's emotion coming up, that it can be that it's coming from so deep that we can't even recognize it, that something's coming up. We're just feeling ungrounded or we're feeling off. And then eating the food helps us to feel comfort and more grounded and more balanced. But it's actually a balance in a state of imbalance that we are very accustomed to. So what I've been learning through this fast, particularly as some of you know, like I began this journey in November last year by moving on to more mucus-free foods, which means eating the foods that don't clog up the body. So this is moving more into fruit and veggie and cutting out the animal products and the dairy and the fats. And even just beginning to move on to these mucus-free foods, so much emotion was coming up in me and a lot of feeling ungrounded. And I was initially blaming that these foods, this fruit and veg, it's too light, you know, I need heavier stuff. And I feel this kind of collective support to kind of, yes, you need heavier stuff. Yes, of course, have a lovely meal and you'll feel better. And I don't want to, you know, be in opposition to that, but it's ultimately keeping us in our comfort zone. And I do completely agree that that's where we need to be sometimes. That's certainly where I need to be sometimes, is this comfort zone where I actually don't know how to handle what's coming up in me, or I don't even, not even aware stuff is coming up. It's totally fine. I believe that this existence has got our evolution sorted. She's on our side, and that our path is going to unfold regardless of what we're going to do. But as I moved on to fasting, and I believe that fasting, yes, of course, it's detoxifying in a physical way. And I feel the huge amount of stuff that I've gotten out of my system, particularly through enemas. This has carried such huge density out of my system, like gone. And this stuff that has come out has been like unrecognizable to me as something from this planet, and that it was in me. It's amazing, it's incredible. But what I also believe in fasting is beyond the process of, you know, in the beginning, fasting is just throwing off some toxins and acidic waste and things. But as we go longer into fasting and give the digestion a long break, the body then begins to actually be able to rejuvenate the organs. I have found my eyesight is improving enormously. I've had a lot of popping in my ears, my hearing, my sense of smell. My body has begun to realign, in many different things are happening. I can actually feel my organs beginning to wake up, and even the sinews of the muscles in my body, something is happening there. So a lot of deeper stuff is happening. But beyond this, beyond the physical side of fasting, removing this comfort of food from our life, and I know this sounds like really strict and disciplined and everything, but just hear me out, hear out my theory. Removing this comfort, or even to move slowly, like transitioning onto mucus-free, slowly removing or lessening this comfort food. And we don't even know it as comfort food, we just know it that we love it. I love cheese, I love bread, you know, but it's organic, it's homemade. It's totally okay, but it's an amazing journey to see who are you without this comfort. And so as we slowly removing these comforts, what I experienced is, well, many things, but the main two is first this feeling of a huge amount of energy available to me, clarity, you know, sparkle of life returning to my soul, my being. But the second thing is a lot of emotion coming up. Oh my God. I feel it's taken me every single thing I've learned my whole life, all the tools I've learned to be able to cope, or sometimes not cope, with what was coming up. When I could cope with what was coming up, I was able to witness an emotion was coming up. Particularly in this fast, what has become really clear to me is my core issue, which is not good enough. And that was coming up so strongly for me during this fast. Not good enough in being able to find my way financially in this life. Who would be interested in me? You know, maybe I'm too love and light, I'm no fun. Just not good enough. So much stuff, and it was just coming up and coming up. And sometimes I could watch it and go, oh, you know, there's that coming up again, okay. And sometimes it came up so strong that I could not bring myself to do some stretches or go for a walk or do some breathing technique or listen to something inspirational or ask for a hug. I couldn't do any of these positive things, and I was very kind of upset with myself that all I could do was put on some kind of mind-numbing movie or movies and just sit there the whole day just watching stupid movies. That's all I could do. And had I been eating, of course, I would have just felt my body needs some nice meal, and I would have just quenched that from coming up. So I feel that fasting strips us down to the seed of our soul, and really the essence of this journey of moving maybe from a sad diet or even this kind of raw vegan diet can be very heavy in fats and foods that clog us up. It's moving, stripping down the comforts that we use to suppress us from feeling our emotion. And I feel that clearing emotion is the true way to begin to live the seed of our soul. I feel like I'm beginning to learn so much, you know, how misguided I've been, especially when I was younger and I started like eating disorder quite bad and putting on a lot of weight. You know, the information I'm given is eat less and move more, and then, you know, I tried all these diets, and I was even on Weight Watchers diet where you have points for all these foods, and you know, how misguided it is, because the seed of that is the emotional side. So my work with this journey, and anyone that, you know, would like some assistance, for me it's all about the emotions. For me, the emotional side of it is 90% of the journey, and that's the part we really need to honor, and it's almost the most difficult part. And I'm so grateful for this journey. It's been really huge, and it's certainly not over yet. I've been really grateful for it to become really clear to me that my core issue that I've been carrying is unworthiness, and not good enough. And during my fast, I was able to see many situations that was reflecting to me. Well, I was interpreting it as, yeah, you see, I'm not good enough. Look what's happening there and there. And through the fasting, through not being able to block it down, and through the enemas, actually, the amount of stuff that's coming out even after 28 days fasting, you know, this is really what motivated me to keep going, was to see what's still coming out. And of course there's the energetics as well of what was coming out. So here I go, day one of return to food. But as I said, I don't feel there's fasting or eating. I'm still quite in love with my grape juice and lemon. Absolutely love it. You'd think you would be sick of it after 28 days, but you know, spending so long just going, what am I meant to eat? What do I eat that makes me feel good, that I don't feel bloated, that I don't have this food coma afterwards? How do I get by? And for me, the grape juice is that. I feel wonderful on it. I feel light, energized, sparkly. So for now, I'm just going to continue kind of my main food's going to be that grape juice with lemon, and then I'm going to eat what I feel. And if there's a nice meal being cooked and I feel to have a little, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to feel how my body and my system recognizes that in terms of its vibration and its density. And I believe that especially from what's come out in the enemas and all the clearing that happens when fasting, is that slowly that a person, me, can become someone who can stay embodied as a high vibration person even in a more denser vibe situation. So I'm not saying I would want to choose to live in a city, but that I'll be able to hold this high vibration and I'll be able to feel the emotion coming up going, you need to eat, you need to eat. And I'll be able to go, it's totally okay. I love you, emotion. I love you. What you bring to me, I love you. So that's the plan. I have no idea what's ahead, but the learnings are coming so fast. And I'm so grateful to be on this journey, and I'm so grateful to be in connection with so many beautiful people about their health. And it's both breaking my heart and filling my heart that absolutely everyone I speak to these days, just even casually speak to, has got health problems and, a level of confusion of what to eat and what to not eat. And that's really why I'm so passionate to share this. Until we collectively rise and realize that, it's not everything in life, of course, but some of us, our path is that what we put into our body affects our vibration, and that we have a calling inside to be really grounded in our high vibe, because this world needs people who are channels of light. And I nearly feel tears when I say that, coming from where I've been for a lot of my life. So, with the message to live your nectar and so much love and gratitude, sending love and a big kiss and a hug from paradise.